Not every legend is the loudest name. Some legends are the glue. Scottie Pippen did not demand the spotlight. He mastered it when it arrived. There is a difference. Many players crave recognition. Few understand responsibility. Responsibility builds value. Value builds legacy. Pippen entered the league without hype equal to superstardom. Small college, late growth spurt. Raw talent. But raw talent means nothing without discipline. He built his game brick by brick. Defense first, effort first, versatility first. Versatility is mental flexibility. To guard multiple positions, you must accept multiple roles. Acceptance removes ego. Ego disrupts chemistry. Chemistry builds dynasties. He guarded the best player every night. That requires pride. Not scoring pride, defensive pride. Defensive pride is invisible to box scores, but visible in wins. Winning requires sacrifice. Sacrifice requires maturity. Maturity is emotional control under pressure. He could score 30 or score 10 and still dominate. That is identity not tied to points. Identity tied to impact. Impact is deeper than statistics. Impact is influence. Influence shapes outcomes. He influenced every possession, switching defensively, rotating early, disrupting passing lanes. Anticipation is intelligence applied in motion. Intelligence beats reaction. He thought the game. He didn't chase it. He could initiate offense, push in transition, create mismatches, make the extra pass. The extra pass is ego surrendered. Surrendering ego builds trust. Trust builds rhythm. Rhythm builds championships. But here is where it gets deeper. Playing next to the greatest player in the world is difficult. Comparison can fracture confidence. Comparison breeds insecurity. Insecurity breeds hesitation. Hesitation limits impact. He refused to hesitate. He understood his value. Knowing your value prevents shrinking. Shrinking kills greatness. He did not try to outshine. He chose to complement. Complementing multiplies power. Two stars aligned create force. But alignment requires self-awareness. Self-awareness builds stability. Stability builds leadership. He led through versatility. Versatility demands conditioning. Conditioning demands discipline. Discipline demands vision. Vision of long-term greatness. He endured criticism. He endured being overlooked. He endured narrative. But narrative is external. Identity is internal. Internal identity wins. He could have chased stats. He chased wins. Wins build legacy. Legacy builds respect. Respect sustains beyond highlight reels. Now consider this. There are players who need the ball to matter. And there are players who matter regardless. Pippen mattered because he could guard 1 through 4. Because he could initiate offense. Because he could rebound. Because he could sacrifice. Sacrifice is strength. Strength without ego is dangerous. He made superstars better. Making others better is leadership. Leadership is not loud speeches. It is reliability. Reliability wins trust. Trust wins rings. When pressure rose, he did not disappear. He simplified. Defense, rebounding, transition, effort. Effort is controllable. Controlling effort removes panic. Panic destroys execution. He stayed composed. Composure stabilizes teams. Stability wins championships. He was not obsessed with individual headlines. He was obsessed with collective dominance. Collective dominance outlasts individual hype. He understood something powerful. Being second option does not mean second importance. Importance is measured by impact. Impact is measured by influence. Influence is measured by outcomes. Outcomes build dynasties. Now internalize this. You do not need the spotlight to matter. You need discipline. You need versatility. You need maturity. You need sacrifice. You need confidence in your role. Role clarity builds performance. Performance builds trust. Trust builds opportunity. Opportunity builds legacy. Say this internally. I know my value. I impact the game. I sacrifice for greatness. I defend with pride. I lead through reliability. I am versatile. I am disciplined. I am essential. I do not need attention to dominate. I do not need headlines to matter. I build winning habits. I build team strength. I build legacy through impact. Because sometimes the greatest power is the one that doesn't need to be loud. And my mindset is my edge. There is a special strength in knowing who you are when the world talks about someone else. Scottie Pippen built that strength. It is easy to shine when you are the headline. It is harder to shine when you are the structure holding the headline up. Structure does not always get applause, but without structure, everything collapses. He understood that greatness is not always about being the face. Sometimes it is about being the foundation. Foundations are built deep. Deep work is unseen. Unseen work builds lasting power. He trained his body relentlessly, conditioning at an elite level, defending at full court, running lanes, rotating defensively without pause. Conditioning builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds reliability. Reliability builds championships. He didn't need the last shot every night to feel valuable. That is maturity. Immaturity demands validation. Maturity demands excellence. Excellence is internal. He valued the extra rotation, the secondary pass, the closeout, the help defense. These are small moments. Small moments decide big games. He mastered the details. Detail mastery creates dominance. Most players focus on highlights. He focused on habits. Habits win long seasons. Seasons build dynasties. He accepted that comparison would always exist. Comparison is unavoidable when greatness surrounds you. But comparison only damages you if you let it define you. He defined himself. Self-definition protects confidence. If you allow others to define you, your identity becomes unstable. Instability leads to insecurity. Insecurity leads to forced play. Forced play disrupts rhythm. He never forced his greatness. He built it quietly. He built it consistently. He built it patiently. Patience is confidence extended over time. He understood timing. When to attack. When to defer. When to take over. There were games where he led fully. When opportunity demanded it, he rose. That is readiness. Readiness builds respect. Respect builds authority. Authority stabilizes teams. He was more than a defender, more than a scorer, more than a secondary option. He was balance. Balance is rare. Balance keeps teams aligned. Alignment builds championships. When adversity hit, he responded with work. Work stabilizes emotion. Emotion fluctuates. Work compounds. He did not allow frustration to fracture focus. Focus builds control. Control builds impact. Impact builds history. History remembers winners. But winners are built on sacrifice. Sacrifice is uncomfortable. Sacrifice requires humility. Humility is power under control. He understood that leadership does not always mean speaking loud. Sometimes leadership means showing up consistent. Every practice, every possession, every defensive assignment. Consistency removes doubt. Teammates trust consistency. Trust creates unity. Unity wins titles. He guarded elite scorers. He initiated offense. He pushed tempo. He rebounded. He made the extra play. Extra plays build separation. Separation wins championships. There is a lesson here. You do not have to dominate every category to dominate impact. You need to dominate effort. You need to dominate preparation. You need to dominate discipline. Discipline sustains excellence. Excellence sustained creates legacy. He was not chasing individual validation. He was building collective dominance. Collective dominance multiplies influence. Influence lasts beyond statistics. When your value is rooted in team success, your confidence becomes stable. Stable confidence is unshakable. He understood something that many never learn. Being essential is more powerful than being flashy. Flash fades. Essentials remain. He remained essential. Every rotation, every rebound, every defensive stop, every push in transition, he was everywhere. Because versatility is mental readiness applied physically. Mental readiness builds opportunity. Opportunity builds legacy. Internalize this. You do not need to be the loudest. You need to be the most reliable. You do not need to demand attention. You need to command respect. You do not need to chase recognition. You need to build impact. Impact speaks louder than applause. Say this internally now. I know my value. I am essential. I defend with pride. I sacrifice for greatness. I make the extra play. I build stability. I build trust. I build winning habits. I do not shrink in comparison. I rise in responsibility. I lead through reliability. I dominate through discipline. Because sometimes the greatest strength is being the foundation. And my mindset is my edge.